All right, guys, Supergirl. I saw the movie last night. Let's talk about it. There's a lot to get into. Starting right off the bat, was this a good movie? This movie was exactly what I thought it was going to be. I would say it definitely wasn't a bad movie. It was a solid movie. The issue I have isn't the movie itself. I mean, I have issues with the movie. The issues I have is the placement of this movie in the DCU. I've been talking about it since they announced this movie for almost 2 years now. This should not have been the follow-up movie to Superman. Obviously, they want to do some Krypton stuff and keep it in like the same Superman universe. I get that. But they should have followed up Superman with a heavy hitter, whether it be Batman, Wonder Woman, even the Green Lantern movie. I know we're getting the show. So I think that was a mistake. This movie, a lot of people are going to say is Guardians adjacent. I agree. It has a lot of Guardians 2 elements. I think it's like a 6 out of 10 movie. If you like it, it probably will be more like a 7.5 out of 10. If you don't like it, maybe a 5 out of 10. I definitely would have put it below that. It's definitely not a bad movie. The question is, do movies like this in the superhero, I guess, landscape really have a place anymore? Obviously, they're going to keep making them, but you have to do something very, very different or just make a very, very good movie. It just doesn't make sense to me for them to intentionally make a movie that they know is going to make less money. You have to make more money. So you make Superman, that made about 700 million, maybe a little less. This movie is going to make way less, and you knew that because Supergirl is never going to make more than Superman. And then you have Clayface, which I'm very excited about, but that's probably going to make even less money than this, even if it's more profitable because it's cheaper. So that's my first thing. My issue, again, with this movie is I thought the entire point of following up Superman with this movie was that they would use this movie to do Krypton stuff. And they did do Krypton stuff, but not nearly enough. I thought we really were going to get Krypton lore, and we got, some brief, scenes of its destruction and whatnot, but not really enough. Jason Momoa as Lobo, I thought did a good job. I thought he was really solid. They didn't overuse him. I don't think they underused him either, but he definitely was needed in this movie. I think he definitely steals the screen. You can tell he's like a movie star when he's on the screen, and I thought it was very good casting. I just didn't think, it was almost just like an introduction. We know we're going to get him down the line. We know we're probably going to get him against Superman. Maybe leaned a little bit too much of a good guy, in my opinion. I mean, I guess he's kind of an anti-hero, but he's really more of like a bad guy, so I didn't really love that. Getting into the plot details, it's really a lot what we saw in the trailer. It's really all about saving Crypto, getting the antidote. He gets poisoned by a villain, and then the whole movie is really Supergirl kind of going planet to planet looking for this antidote and eventually finding it. It becomes a lone wolf and cub story yet again as she's guarding a young child, a young girl, pretty much the entire movie. It seems like every single project we're getting, whether it be from Disney, HBO, it doesn't really matter. We're getting the same storyline. We're going to be getting it again in Star Wars Starfighter, the Ryan Gosling movie, so I don't really understand it. There's a really, really bad needle drop, and I don't really usually complain about this stuff. Towards the end, a Jimmy Eat World cover song, and it's just bizarre. I think that's the classic scene in this movie that's just done with like the classic slow-mo needle drop, play a song, have the superhero do like all this action. I don't think is the way to go. And it's kind of, if you saw Black Adam, they did the same kind of thing in Black Adam a lot. So I didn't really love that. And, the Guardians comparisons, I think, are to be expected. This movie, when you have movies in space, and they're not Star Wars or even Star Trek, you're going to get those Guardians comparisons because there isn't really like an aesthetic that's really been established for space. The MCU kind of stole that aesthetic and kind of established it for themselves with the Guardians movies. And so getting this here was kind of wonky. And it just, the DCU, I think, in space has to kind of set their own aesthetic like the MCU did, but it's very, very tough when you're getting those Guardians comparisons. One of the things that drove me nuts about this movie is that it doubled down on the Jor-El being a bad guy and Superman's parents being a bad guy. We basically get the story of Kara being sent away similar to Clark, but after Krypton's been destroyed, they kind of launched this force field and kind of protect Krypton, and it's almost like a floating planet after it's been destroyed. And then they really change it so that her parents are the good ones and that Clark's parents are kind of still evil. And I just hate this. This is the second movie in a row. They just keep diminishing Jor-El's character. Jor-El is supposed to be is arguably the most like principled good guy in the entire DC universe, in my opinion. really the basis for everything is sending his son to Earth with the intention of him doing good, and I don't know why they changed that. It just seems really dark and stupid, and I really, really don't like it. But yeah, there was no mention of Brainiac. There was no mention of really why Krypton was being destroyed, so I think they're going to probably save that for Man of Tomorrow. But I just think through a Superman and a Supergirl movie, we just haven't gotten nearly enough Krypton. I feel like they've really, really chickened out of doing it. I don't know why. And I just don't love it. Another thing I don't love about this movie is how much Supergirl gets beat up, similar to Superman. They're just nerfing her the entire movie. There's so many scenes where she's getting beat up, and I'm like, I don't understand why this is happening. What kind of powers do these people have? She's fighting like these goons or these bad guys, these generic bad guys, and they're like piecing her up pretty good. And they try to explain it throughout the movie of like, well, she doesn't have the full access to the sun, and they're always like diminishing the sun, and the sun is down, and I'm like, I don't love this at all. We just saw Superman get beat up. Now we're seeing Supergirl get beat up. And I understand like these are super, these are the most powerful people, Kryptonians in the DCU, in the universe. But again, it doesn't make any sense like this is how they're going to handle it. Let's just keep weakening them to make the fight equal. Don't do that. Give your bad guys weapons to do that. The bad guy even takes out, it's like every single time she's about to be winning this fight, something happens and she's getting her ass kicked again, just constantly throughout the movie. She even gets hit with kryptonite arrows. I don't know where this guy got those from. And she survives, obviously, but again, the entire movie she's getting beat up. And so as we kind of head forward in the DCU, I predicted this would happen. This movie was never going to get, it's just sandwiched in a terrible spot between Minions, between Toy Story. People are already looking forward to Spider-Man next month. People are looking forward to Doomsday, even to the Batman 2 that's in production. So I just feel like people's minds just aren't where they need to be. This slot could have been like a Wonder Woman movie or just like an exciting movie. I think it would be totally different. There's just not a lot of emphasis based on the trailers. Not a lot of motivation to really go see this movie, in my opinion. Based on what you've seen, unless you're someone who reviews movies like me or you're a big DC fan and want to see everything, I just didn't think it did enough. So I think Millie Alcock did a good job. I think Jason Momoa did a good job. And I think this was a solid movie. But again, my problem is the placement of this movie in the DCU, the timing of this movie, I didn't think it was right. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. When I see this movie, I think I'd go see it. If you like Supergirl, if you like Superman, you want to stay in the DCU, I'd go see it. But there's no post-credit scene. There's not much lore outside of, Jason Momoa, so don't go in expecting that. There's just some good action and a pretty solid superhero movie. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.